At 6:42 local time, the Venezuelan Navy believed they were tracking a fishing trawler. They were wrong. 2 miles off their patrol line, the sea erupted like something colossal was tearing its way out of the deep. A wall of black steel burst through the surface, throwing seawater 30 feet into the air. No warning, no distress call, no flag. Just a sudden shape of power rising from nowhere. On the bridge of the Venezuelan patrol ship Guayacamacuto, the sonar screen went from calm blue to screaming red. The operator froze. Large displacement, bearing 086, rapid ascent. The captain didn't answer immediately. Everyone on that bridge knew what they were looking at. The sail of an American submarine, breaking daylight, motionless yet full of intent. It wasn't drifting, it was staging. Every bubble that escaped from its hull seemed measured, every second deliberate. "General quarters," the captain ordered. "All stations track and log." The ship's engines growled as it turned starboard to maintain intercept. The coast was 19 nautical miles behind. The submarine didn't move. It just sat there, calm, absolute, predatory. Through binoculars, the outline was unmistakable, sleek, angular, black. A Virginia-class attack submarine, nuclear-powered, built for silence, surfaced now by choice. For 3 minutes, there was only the hiss of water running down its sail, then absolute stillness. Distance, 1.9 nautical miles. The navigator called out, "CPA closing." "Keep recording," the captain said quietly. He didn't yet know this wasn't an accident. It was a demonstration. The Venezuelan patrol vessel Guayacamacuto was no stranger to foreign shadows. Built with Italian systems but operated by sailors trained on Soviet doctrine, she patrolled Venezuela's northern waters as part of the Bolivarian security zone, a patch of ocean that Caracas calls its fence line. Officially, her mission was simple: watch the coast, monitor traffic, keep foreign ships honest. In reality, it meant shadowing the world's most advanced navy just beyond reach. That morning had begun with routine patrols, engines steady at 14 knots, the sun climbing pale and sharp over a quiet sea. Radar returns from merchant ships, fishing clusters, all routine noise. Then the ocean broke open. Now the contact was fixed dead ahead. A Virginia-class submarine surfaced at bearing 086, range 1.8 miles. Too close for comfort, too deliberate to be random. The Venezuelan crew moved with disciplined chaos. Binoculars, cameras, rangefinders, everyone recording. The air on deck felt charged, the kind of static you sense before a storm. Meanwhile, aboard the American submarine, procedures ran with clockwork precision. Surface watch stations manned, emission control to minimum, communications sealed. The United States Navy calls this presence ops. Show the flag without a single word. Legally, the submarine was clean, operating 12 nautical miles beyond Venezuela's territorial limit in international waters. But politically, it was the equivalent of parking a jet fighter at someone's front gate. It wasn't trespass, it was theater. A message in steel. We can appear whenever we choose. The crew didn't talk. They didn't need to. Every movement, camera rotation, antenna alignment, optical feed, was recorded for analysis later. This was not a reaction, it was choreography. At 6:47 local time, the standoff began. The submarine hadn't moved an inch since breaking the surface. The sail pointed straight toward the Venezuelan ship, a 7,000-ton stare that didn't blink. On the bridge of the Guayacamacuto, tension hummed like an electric line. Officers kept their eyes shifting between the horizon and the screens. "Range 1.6 nautical miles," the navigator said. "Maintain course 15 knots," the captain replied. Calm voice. White knuckles on the bridge rail. Down below, the sonar operator fine-tuned the gain, listening for any shift in low-frequency hum. Nothing. No cavitation. No propeller wash. Whoever commanded that sub knew exactly what they were doing. Then, a sound. One clean, short ping. A sonar pulse from the American side. Crisp, controlled, intentional. Not hostile, just a handshake between predators. "Holding depth 0, stationary," the sonar tech confirmed. "Copy. Keep recording," came the reply. On deck, Venezuelan sailors lined the starboard side, staring across the flat sea at the black silhouette less than 2 miles away. The hull gleamed under rising sunlight, water still dripping down like sweat. For many of them, it was the first time they'd seen an American nuclear sub this close. To them, it looked like something from another century, smooth, vast, and silent. The kind of weapon designed to end wars before they begin. Cameras clicked, lenses shook in the wind, and still, the submarine didn't move. Both vessels recorded every second. Bearing, distance, wake pattern. No one spoke, because in modern naval warfare, the battle doesn't begin with missiles. It begins with evidence. By 6:52, the closest point of approach dropped to 1.3 nautical miles. The ocean between them was perfectly still. A strip of tension stretched thin as wire. The Venezuelans held position. The Americans held silence. This was posture warfare, a precision game played in open water. No shots fired, just the physics of presence. To understand why the US Navy would surface this close to Venezuela, you had to zoom out beyond the horizon. For months, the Navy had been running Operation Sentinel South, a maritime security campaign targeting drug routes and weapons corridors across the Caribbean. Many of these routes cross the same gray waters that Venezuela claims as its extended Bolivarian zone. On paper, both sides are right. In practice, it's a fuse. The United States calls it freedom of navigation. Venezuela calls it provocation. So these encounters happen quietly, unannounced, choreographed to the inch. The sub's surfacing wasn't an error. It was a signal. We see you, we are here, and we decide when you see us. At 6:57 local time, the tension on both bridges had become almost physical. The air felt thicker, like the sea itself was holding its breath. For 15 minutes, the American submarine had not moved, suspended halfway between water and air, its dark hull glistening under a sun that was only beginning to burn through the haze. The Venezuelan patrol ship Guaycamacuto maintained her course at 15 knots, her diesel engines thrumming in low vibration through the deck plates. Every officer on board knew what that distance meant. One wrong signal, one nervous gesture, and a diplomatic standoff could become an international incident within seconds. Range 1.2 nautical miles, the navigator said quietly, eyes fixed on the digital display. Confirmed, 1.2. The captain's reply was steady, clipped, military calm. Hold course, weapons cold, keep all channels silent. No one raised their voice. Even the creak of the bridge console sounded too loud. The ocean was glass smooth, every wave rolling like oil, catching light from the rising sun. Then the submarine moved, a slow, deliberate roll to port. Maybe 10 degrees, maybe less. But to trained eyes it was unmistakable. A gesture, not of aggression, but of awareness. "She's turning toward us," said the watch officer, voice barely more than a breath. The captain's eyes locked on the bearing repeater. 084, 083. The American vessel's bow was now aligned directly with them. It wasn't a weapon aiming, it was language, metal speaking to metal. The Venezuelan captain responded the only way he could. "Adjust course, parallel heading, 15 knots steady." His tone was cold, automatic. Years of training, condensed into a few syllables. The helmsman's hands trembled slightly as he corrected the rudder. The ship began to shift, sliding laterally across the submarine's line of sight. The two hulls were now moving in a slow, synchronized ballet, presence mirroring presence. On deck, Venezuelan sailors stood behind the .50 caliber mounts, not pointing, just ready. The guns gleamed dull under sunlight, safety covers still on. Cameras rolled continuously, operators sweating under heavy vests, lenses focusing on the black shape across the water. Every frame mattered. Every second could become proof, or propaganda, depending on who watched it later. The air tasted metallic from the salt spray and hot steel. Nobody spoke. Nobody wanted to be the sound that broke the silence. Inside the submarine, it was different. A kind of cathedral hush broken only by the low hum of machinery. The control room glowed faint green under instrument lights. Crewmen moved with the precision of ritual. Every optical sensor, every acoustic array, every radar emission from the Venezuelan vessel was being logged in real time. Operators didn't flinch, didn't talk. They simply observed. For them, this wasn't confrontation. It was data collection. Another entry in a pattern of behavior analysis that stretched across oceans. The submarine's commander stood behind the periscope housing, watching the foreign ship through stabilized optics. He didn't smile. He didn't frown. His eyes just followed the motion of the patrol vessel crossing his field of view. "Mark bearing change 083 to 082, said the fire control officer. "Acknowledged," came the reply. A small ripple of acknowledgement across the consoles. It wasn't about intimidation. It was about being seen, precisely when they wanted to be seen. At 6:59, the closest point of approach locked at exactly 1 nautical mile. The Venezuelan vessel's radar screens showed the black hull as a single steady contact. No speed, no course change, just a target that refused to behave like anything in their database. The officers could feel the weight of that stillness, the kind of silence that carries power. Then, without a single radio call, the submarine began to sink. Not crash dive, not retreat, just a slow, graceful descent. The sail tilted, water folding over it like silk drawn over stone. For a heartbeat, the hull shimmered under the surface, caught in the reflection of sunlight. Then, the shape vanished. White foam rolled outward in a ring, collapsing back into flat calm. 20 seconds later, it was as if nothing had ever been there. Sonar showed a faint trace, then silence. The operator blinked at the empty screen. "Contact faded," he said softly. "No Doppler shift, no return." The captain's hand tightened on the bridge rail. "Mark last known position," he ordered. "Log depth transition time. Save all recordings." His voice was professional, but his shoulders were rigid, as if still waiting for something to return. 0703 local time. The sea was calm again. The light had shifted to gold. Gulls circled in lazy arcs, unaware that the ocean below them had just swallowed a nuclear-powered ghost. The Venezuelan ship continued scanning for 10 long minutes. Passive sonar sweeps, radar pulses, infrared checks. Nothing. The American submarine was already more than 200 feet below, sliding into silence. Inside the submarine, the temperature dropped slightly as the hull descended. Acoustic sensors listened in every direction. No pursuit detected. The mission log updated automatically. Time, position, duration of exposure, Venezuelan response time, radio discipline, environmental noise levels. Every byte encrypted and transmitted through a narrow-band buoy link to U.S. Southern Command. On the classified map, the encounter would be marked only by a single entry. Presence operation completed. No incident. On the Venezuelan side, tension slowly turned into exhaustion. The smell of diesel and sweat filled the bridge. The captain took off his cap and placed it on the console. "Maintain patrol route," he said finally. "Resume standard operations." The words sounded hollow. The men obeyed, but their eyes kept drifting to the horizon where the submarine had disappeared. For them, it was not just a contact lost. It was an encounter with something beyond their reach. A reminder that real power doesn't always announce itself. The engines of the Guaycamacudo eased to patrol speed. The hum of turbines filled the silence again. One sailor lit a cigarette on the lee side, cupping the flame against the wind. He looked at the water, still disturbed by faint ripples. Somewhere under that calm surface, he knew the submarine was still moving, out of sight, out of sound, but not gone. Encounters like this never make the news. There would be no official statements, no footage on television. But in offices far from the Caribbean, analysts would study every frame of video, every sonar reading, every bearing correction. Gray zone warfare isn't about battles, it's about patterns, the quiet shaping of perception and control. The U.S. Navy calls these moments presence warfare, a strategy built not on missiles, but on psychology. Control the silence, and you control the sea. This morning, silence belonged entirely to the United States. For the Venezuelan crew, the story would be retold differently. In bars along the coast, sailors would speak of a submarine that rose like a sea monster, watched them, and sank without trace. For them, it would become legend, half fear, half fascination. For the Americans, it was just another patrol, routine, efficient, invisible. Because in modern naval warfare, victory is not measured in explosions. It's measured in awareness. Whoever controls the unseen controls everything. The captain of the Venezuelan ship closed his logbook and looked once more at the horizon. The sun was higher now, the ocean a sheet of white fire. "End of contact," he said. But in his mind, it wasn't over. He knew that somewhere, beneath the quiet, another machine was still listening. Power at sea doesn't roar. It waits. It hides beneath pressure, behind silence, inside data. And every time the ocean swallows that silence again, it leaves one question hanging in the air. If you were standing on that bridge, staring at that black hull rising from nowhere, would you have turned away or held your course? If you found this breakdown compelling, hit like, subscribe, and join the channel. Every second of this story is built from real naval procedures, acoustic data, and verified field reports. No speculation, only the reality of power at sea, second by second. Join the fleet, support the mission, and help us surface more true stories from the depths. Because the next time silence breaks, you'll want to know what's coming from below.